All right, news desk, you just got out the vehicle. We're
Good
going to the other
afternoon,
side of the
folks.
house now.
JB here with you live on WFLA Now, tapping into this chopper feed of a high-speed chase in South Florida that has come to a stop in this residential neighborhood. The driver of the vehicle that was being pursued casually getting out of his vehicle, checking his phone, and now we have an armed vehicle pulling up to the house with at least a dozen or so units behind this armored vehicle, guns drawn. We have to advise our audience, viewer discretion is advised. This is a live picture from South Florida, from Miami-Dade County, as we understand it. Full details coming to WFLA.com. But again, this is live from outside of the home where a driver that was being pursued in a high-speed chase in South Florida, the driver pulling into the driveway, casually getting out of the vehicle, appeared to have gone into the home or into the garage, and now we have units establishing a perimeter here. Good afternoon to you folks. JB here with you live in the WFLA Now Stream Center. Again, viewer discretion is advised. The suspect that is being pursued in this case by South Florida authorities appeared to have gone into the home, or really onto this property, might have gone into the garage or even around back. It was hard to see exactly where the driver went. Let's go back here full screen and show you what we're looking at. To the left, off camera here, we can't see it within view, but at least a dozen or so police vehicles behind this armored vehicle. Tactical units are in position with guns drawn. We saw one tactical officer officer in tactical gear go to really where the right side of your screen is. And this is, again, a developing situation in South Florida. People asking in the comment section as to why the driver was being pursued. There's no details from South Florida authorities at this time. This is a developing story. As soon as we get more details, we'll pass it along to you. Again, JB here with you live, folks, on WFLA Now. For those of you just joining in the last couple of minutes, this was a high-speed pursuit with approximately a dozen or so police vehicles chasing the driver of a dark-colored SUV. It appears to be a black SUV, the SUV that you see parked in the driveway of this home in Miami-Dade County, Florida. The driver, we'll try to cue up some of this video if we can. The driver got out of the vehicle. And usually when you see a driver try to elude officers on foot, more commonly what you'll see is the driver of the vehicle get out and frantically start running, trying to get away from officers. The driver of this vehicle got out of the car and very casually looked down at his phone and walked into this home, or walked into the garage, or perhaps around back. We're not sure where the suspect is on this property, but we do know that Florida authorities are establishing a perimeter. Also should advise that as we have this live media feed, if this does evolve into a lengthy standoff situation, what might happen is authorities might ask media helicopters to vacate the area. Reason being is because with clearly the driver and the suspect in this case having access to a cell phone, they could bring up the feed and perhaps find out the latest as to where officers are positioned around the property. That, of course, disadvantageous to the officers responding to the scene. So we have this live chopper feed to show you what's going on. Viewer discretion is advised simply because we do not know what is going to happen, and guns are drawn with the tactical units that are surrounding this property, again, in Miami-Dade County. We'll go live here, full screen, and let you know the very latest as soon as it comes in to WFLA.com.
And George, when you say move up, like to move away or gain altitude? Copy.
And very interesting there. You heard some of the radio traffic. I do have the audio up in this feed up full blast, and you heard a little bit of that back and forth traffic there. There might be a request on behalf of law enforcement to either increase altitude or to move away to make more room for either law enforcement helicopters or law enforcement drones. Oftentimes what you'll see in response to a situation like this is law enforcement getting their UAVs, their unmanned aerial vehicles near. Here comes, let's go full screen. The door just
looks like
opened.
you just opened the door.
The door just opened there and then closed again. So we don't know if that was the suspect in this case, the suspect that was behind the wheel during the high-speed pursuit in South Florida on the Florida Turnpike. But we do know that that door did just open. So somebody is in the home. It could be one person. It could be multiple people. We don't know if this is the suspect's home. We don't know if this is a home that the suspect is familiar with or might be unfamiliar with. But as the chase was getting off of more commonly used roadways and was starting to navigate through this residential neighborhood, you could sort of get a sense that there was a particular destination that the driver was attempting to get to. It did not appear to be a random turn into this driveway. So why the driver might have selected this home, if this is his home or if this is the home of a family member or a friend, not entirely sure. This is, again, all developing in the last hour plus here in South Florida. So I now have confirmation. This is in Hialeah. Hialeah located right outside of Miami, Florida. Part of Miami-Dade County. This is, as we understand it, this was a chase that occurred on the Florida Turnpike. And now we have some tactical units. As we see the shadow of another helicopter fly overhead, we see some tactical units moving to a different position that is now not within frame. But you can see the armored vehicle is pulled right behind the vehicle that was involved in this chase, the vehicle there in the driveway, that dark SUV. And again, off camera, you can't see it, but there were approximately a dozen or so police units. I'm going to re-rack some of the video, folks, from when the driver actually arrived to the property. Stand by. For our audience just joining us, JB here with you live in the WFLA Now Stream Center. Viewer discretion is advised. This is a live scene from South Florida, Hialeah, Florida, to be exact, a residential neighborhood where a high-speed pursuit came to an end when the driver that was being pursued by more than a dozen or so police vehicles, police officers, the driver of that vehicle, the dark-colored SUV in the driveway, pulled into that driveway, casually got out of the vehicle, and appeared to have gone into the home. An armored vehicle pulled right in behind the suspect's vehicle as the suspect entered the home. And since then, there's been little activity from the suspect. The only thing that we have seen is a door open. We don't know if that front door, it opened for maybe a second to 2 seconds or so. It was very, very brief. But we don't know if the door that was opened, if that was opened by the suspect or not. But someone appeared to have opened the front door and then closed it right away. Other than that, really, it's just been activity from a law enforcement perspective as we now see the chopper is moving back. And this is likely due to a aircraft advisory or an alert or request put out of some kind because, of course, the airspace that is directly overhead above this house is going to be needed for law enforcement aircraft. We've already seen multiple choppers flying overhead. I think that there's at least one, maybe two media helicopters in the air. This is, again, a developing story out of South Florida. There's law enforcement activity in the air as well. There you can get a better shot. Let's go full screen. There you can see a better shot of some of the law enforcement vehicles. Some of them are now moving back. We don't know how long this is going to be taking place, how long we're in for here, so to speak. And I'll have that video of how this chase ended in this driveway here coming up in just a couple minutes. There you saw a drop-off, it appears, in an unmarked law enforcement vehicle as some more officers are now, or law enforcement personnel, I should say, rather, are in this armored vehicle. And it appears that at least one of them, perhaps more, putting on tactical gear, body armor, in the event that shots are fired. Again, viewer discretion is advised. This is a live situation unfolding in South Florida. I have to repeat that repeatedly because we're constantly engaging a new digital audience here every few seconds or so. We're reaching new people, whether you're joining us on Facebook Live, whether you're joining us on YouTube Live. I will be getting to some of the comments. We have some folks asking questions and making observations in our comment section. I will be getting to that momentarily. In the meantime, standing by to show you the video of how this chase came to an end. The signal breaking up here just a little bit. All right, now we should have the video. Let's see if we can bring this up. This is how the chase ended approximately, I want to say it was about 10 to 15 minutes ago now. So here's the vehicle pulling into the driveway. And now you're going to see the suspect very casually walk out, knowing he's got about a dozen or so law enforcement vehicles behind him. He looks down, checks his phone, and then he's out of view, but he appears to have walked inside the home. We've got some action here live. Let's show you what's going on now live. A couple of units have now moved into a closer position. And now it appears that the units are communicating with one another. Let's show you that one more time, though, if we can. This is how the chase came to an end. Left-hand turn down this residential street, pulls into this driveway. There's, again, to the top right-hand portion of your screen, there's a dozen or so law enforcement vehicles. He looks in that direction,
And Chopper
casually
6
gets
news
out,
desk.
and then looks down at his phone and appears to enter the home. Let's go back live.
Hey, you probably already know this, but the police just told us to ask you guys to not broadcast in the real time. I guess they asked for like a delay. Okay, cool.
Interesting. So the law enforcement leadership in charge of this scene, they're not asking media helicopters to vacate the scene, which we've seen in some other standoff type situations. What they're asking for is a delay so that it is not live. So we're getting our signal here from our sister station, WTVJ. Very curious to see if they put any form of a delay on the live feed coming from their helicopter.
We're good. We have 3/4 tanks. We're good right now.
And doing a quick fuel check, so that lets us know that WTVJ's chopper is going to be in the air for some time. Just so folks are aware, this feed isn't exactly live, especially if you're joining us on Facebook or YouTube. There are several different hoops that this is going through. The chopper is feeding their signal back to WTVJ in South Florida. That is then being transmitted to NBC. NBC is then feeding that out to stations such as us at WFLA in Tampa. We are then feeding that to our core digital platform, which is then distributing it out to social media. The delay can range anywhere from a minute to 2 minutes. So what you're watching right now is technically live, but as far as it being in the present, it's approximately a minute to 2 minutes behind what's actually going on at the scene. So there is a built-in delay already. I'll be very curious to see if they add an additional delay from the chopper feed out to stations such as our own, as we again watch here live from South Florida. Again, JB here with the live folks on WFLA Now. This is a live picture with a bit of a delay that is built in. This is coming from South Florida. This is coming from Hialeah, Florida, to be exact, a residential neighborhood there. You can see that we have several units that are in position after a high-speed chase came to an end in this parking lot. A high-speed chase that attracted a whole lot of attention from law enforcement. We're about to show you some video from that chase for those of you just joining us. It was a pretty wild scene on the Florida Turnpike, and as it got off the Florida Turnpike and started to make some turns closer to this neighborhood. But this is now a situation that is unfolding for law enforcement as they are trying to bring this, obviously, to a resolution peacefully. The suspect in this case, we haven't heard yet from our friends in South Florida as to what this suspect was wanted for, if this was an attempt to pull over a vehicle, or if the license plate, if the vehicle itself was flagged for some reason by law enforcement. We just know that we picked up a high-speed chase in progress in South Florida, and it ended here a short time ago. We'll play back some video for you here shortly, but this is live. Viewer discretion is advised as a result of this being a live situation involving law enforcement. Again, this is from WTVJ, NBC South Florida. The very latest on WFLA.com. Good afternoon, folks. JB here with you live on WFLA Now. A SWAT standoff is taking place in Hialeah, Florida. A armored vehicle pulled into the driveway behind a vehicle that suspects were pursuing on the Florida Turnpike in South Florida this afternoon. The suspect appears to have gone into this home. We do not know what the suspect is wanted for, if there was a flag on the vehicle or if the suspect himself was wanted. As far as the suspect entering the home, we have seen the front door of this home open once, and we do not know how many people are inside. When it was opened very briefly. As we await some activity on this shot, I want to show everybody what the chase looked like earlier. This is not live. This was earlier this afternoon, about an hour or so ago, when the vehicle was being, the black SUV that is in the driveway now was being pursued at a high rate of speed by authorities. There were speeds that got significantly faster than this. I am monitoring the touchscreen. If anything happens on that shot, we're going to go back to it immediately. But this was what the chase looked like earlier. We'll come back to show you some of the highlights of that high-speed pursuit and what led to this moment in time. Again, we're on approximately a couple of minutes of a delay here. So what you're looking at isn't exactly live. It's going through several different hoops before it actually reaches you, our audience at home. So that, of course, is something that has been made abundantly clear by law enforcement as far as this not being accessible to the media live. And the chopper appears to have, or the last that we heard, a good amount of fuel left. So we'll be able to monitor this for some time. But a standoff is taking place. Viewer discretion is advised as a result of, again, this being an unfolding situation with law enforcement pursuing a suspect who appears to have retreated inside of this home in Hialeah, Florida. Details right now on WFLA.com, the WFLA app. I want to show everybody a pretty wild sight from earlier. This is, again, no longer live. We're now going back in the time machine, if you will, to show you what it looked like there with just the number of police vehicles that were keeping not a very far distance, but also not right on his bumper sort of distance. But this is what the pursuit looked like just a few minutes before it ended with the vehicle pulling into the driveway at this Hialeah home. Again, we're going to show you some highlights here over the course of the live stream of this pursuit as it took place for our audience that has just joined in the last several minutes. I'm going to pay very close attention to this feed on the touchscreen here in the stream center. If there's activity on that shot, we're going to go to it right away immediately. But again, I want to show you a little bit of the chase from earlier. And I'm going to scroll ahead here sort of to, we're actually going to go forward in time to really these moments. I want to show you how the vehicle ended up where it did. So this is when the vehicle got off of some of the main roadways in Hialeah, started to pull into a residential neighborhood. You can see that there were some police vehicles in pursuit. Again, keeping an eye here on the live situation unfolding from the chopper from WTVJ. The vehicle, the dark SUV, makes a left-hand turn and now is going to make another left and pull right into the home where it's going to come to a rest where it is right now. The driver gets out of the vehicle here, very casual, wearing a t-shirt, shorts, looks down at his phone and appears, it's out of view, but appears to go inside of the home or perhaps the garage. The two are right next to one another. And there you see the massive law enforcement response. They all kind of pull up here on the roadway, and the armored vehicle that was part of that contingent moves in directly behind the suspect's vehicle. And that's where we find the situation now live here in Hialeah. For those wondering, we still have the chopper transmission audio up full blast. So if there's any communication from the helicopter about any advisories or any advisement from law enforcement, we'll be able to hear that as well. Any fuel updates as far as the chopper. You can also see, look at the top of your screen right now on a completely different block. You can see that there is, actually now they're zooming out even more. So now we can just see a little bit more as to the perimeter that has been established. Clearly, they're not going to allow pedestrians or other drivers to navigate these roadways, but also, too, having those officers stationed in the event that the suspect tries to make an exit through the backyard, hops a fence, and tries to go the back way out, if you will. But that gives us a much better idea as to what this looks like from a wider viewpoint. What we're going to do now here, everybody, on WFLA Now is we're going to start to take your hashtag HeyJB questions and comments. This is what we do interactively on WFLA Now live streams. If you have a question about this particular story, if you have an observation, something that I might have missed that you can see, or maybe sometimes we have law enforcement retirees, folks that have responded to situations like this who chime in our comment section and want to make a point. You can use hashtag HeyJB. If you use that hashtag with your comment, you see it here on the left side of your screen on the yellow stripe. If you use that hashtag, we can animate your comments on screen and bring you directly in to the conversation. That's, of course, what we do here interactively in the Stream Center. So starting now, I'm going to be looking for those comments and add a few to the queue so that we can participate in the chat that's going on YouTube Live and Facebook Live as well. Matt Bolt in our comment section asking, hashtag HeyJB, what started the pursuit? Again, live here on the right side of your screen. And we'll put Matt's comment away because somehow it just covered up the law enforcement vehicle. What started the pursuit? We actually just got in an update from NBC South Florida a short time ago as a bird flies overhead. I thought that was a drone for a second, but it appeared to be an eagle or a hawk or a pretty large bird. There was a BOLO put out. BOLO, be on the lookout, issued for that vehicle, the dark SUV that is in the driveway. And when the BOLO was put out some point on Wednesday before the chase actually took place. So a be on the lookout was issued to Florida law enforcement in Miami-Dade County, perhaps other counties, adjacent counties as well. And it didn't take very long for that bolo to yield results. The vehicle was spotted, and as we understand it, that is what began the chase. Now, as far as whether or not there was an attempted traffic stop or whether or not it was a heavy law enforcement that spooked the driver or what exactly began the chase portion of the story itself, that's unclear. But we do know that a be on the lookout alert was issued to law enforcement in South Florida, and they got a hit pretty quickly when they found the dark-colored SUV. More hashtag HeyJB questions and comments. I'll be looking for them here. YouTube Live, Facebook Live on WFLA Now. This is an interesting question from Rawecki Films. Hashtag HeyJB, why is SWAT there? Asking this question on YouTube Live. SWAT, as far as being here at a standoff situation, is nothing out of the ordinary. But also, too, law enforcement likely has some additional array of information, more than what we know, clearly. And we don't know if this is a suspect who has had run-ins with the law before. We don't know if this is a suspect that is considered armed and dangerous. They are clearly treating this with a high level of caution, so that is why we have a SWAT standoff that is unfolding. And we have confirmed with WTVJ, this is a SWAT unit. Sometimes you will see units in tactical gear and units in armored vehicles that are not technically classified as SWAT, but they are reporting this, according to NBC South Florida, they are reporting this as a SWAT standoff with SWAT personnel at the scene. We'll come to this question from Melissa. Hashtag HeyJB, did he know he was being chased? He seemed very casual. Yeah, that was the thing that really made my eyebrows raise up a bit. This appeared to be a relatively casual chase as it took place. Again, imagine looking in your rearview mirror and seeing a dozen or so law enforcement vehicles in pursuing you. And then for it to get to, again, let's show you the point where it came to an end. We'll show this one more time for our audience that just joined us. When it got to this residential neighborhood, scrolling ahead here, it's about right here. Just look at how casual this moment is. Just kind of gets out and run. No hurry. He just casually walks towards this home. Again, I will go back live here so folks can monitor the live feed. We've covered a lot of chases here, and a lot of them go from vehicle to the suspect being on foot. And a majority of the time, I can confidently say majority of the time, when it becomes a foot pursuit, it isn't a walk, a stroll down the street. Person gets out of the vehicle and they are usually running. We've seen people hop fences. We have seen people go through homes. We've seen a lot of wild antics occur when it goes from a vehicle pursuit to an on-foot pursuit. So for the suspect to just get out of the vehicle and just kind of casually go into the home, knowing that there was a massive law enforcement presence behind him, that is peculiar. There's no doubt. Not something that we see very often. But it is important to note that he got out of the vehicle with a phone in hand. And while you would automatically assume that the suspect has a phone, just about everybody has a phone these days, it just confirms for us that the suspect, provided that the phone doesn't have a dead battery, the suspect has access to the internet, has access to the media coverage surrounding this story right now, and that is why the law enforcement advisory was put out to the media to put this feed on a delay so that what the suspect was seeing wasn't happening and unfolding in real time. We've got Jam Fam Twin joining us, saying hashtag HeyJB. The cops, they took so long. They had a chance to stop him. I live 5 minutes away. They had a chance to stop him. I live in Hialeah. And Of course, a subsequent investigation will be launched to determine the tactics and how, of course, this was treated from a law enforcement perspective, because you can see here there is a distance between the suspect's vehicle and the law enforcement behind. We've seen, obviously, with other chases, different tactics get employed, such as a pit maneuver to try to bring it to an end. But when you're talking about active roadways, you, of course, want to ensure that no member of the public, no other drivers on the road are at risk if something should occur with a violent crash, a violent collision, something that brings an end to the chase. We'll go back here live and show you the live feed from the chopper. So look, law enforcement personnel, they are trained on how to carry out high-speed pursuits. They communicate during these high-speed pursuits. They are given advisement on how to, on what to do, distance. We have seen some pursuits where it's the space between law enforcement and the suspect is quite close. We've also seen some where it's so far out, they keep a distance. This is especially something we see out of California. Sometimes the distance between the officers pursuing the suspect and the suspect's vehicle is so great that you can't even fit it in frame. So different tactics get used for different situations as we again monitor the situation from Hialeah in South Florida. Truth Faction says, hashtag HeyJB, show the footage where the curtains close right after he went in the house. You know,
At Chopper 6 News Desk, looks like he's exiting the house. And he just threw something over the house. All right, he's giving himself up.
And as we're taking comments here live on WFLA Now, the suspect that we saw earlier involved in this chase, wearing the T-shirt and shorts, comes out of the vehicle, appears to have thrown something onto the roof or somewhere above the home, puts his hands up in the air, lifts up his shirt to show that there's nothing underneath his shirt, and gives himself up, surrendering to South Florida authorities, bringing an end to a wild chase on the Florida Turnpike and in this Hialeah, Florida neighborhood. Whether or not there was any communication between the suspect and officers outside, if they were able to establish through a phone call or other means of communication, try to talk to him, or whether or not the suspect came out willingly. But the suspect opened the door, walked out, and surrendered. As the chopper signal cuts out here a little bit as they are hovering in place. There are some in our comment section. Let's go back to the live feed.
Copy that. I'll contact TOC now.
There are some in our comment section right now on YouTube Live, Facebook Live, that are commenting about how anticlimactic of an ending that was. And there are some that are expressing disappointment over the anticlimactic ending. Let me point out that this is exactly what you want to see. You do not want there to be an escalation of violence in any way from either side. You want there to be a peaceful resolution to this. So this was an anticlimactic ending, and I'm sure for law enforcement, that's exactly what they wanted, the suspect to surrender, to come out peacefully, unarmed, and surrender himself to police. Again, this is live from South Florida, so we're paying attention here. Another police vehicle has now pulled up. This is likely the police vehicle that will be used to transport him to the local jail, Miami-Dade County Jail, for booking. We see some of the SWAT team members that are currently surrounding him at the back of the armored vehicle. So again, the suspect, what was he wanted for? All we know at this stage from the early preliminary information out of South Florida from our sister station WTVJ was that there was a be on the lookout alert put out for the vehicle. Now, whether or not the vehicle matched the person that they were seeking in relation to the Bolo alert, or what it might
And
be,
they got him in the vehicle now. Do you see my signal?
Hearing some of the chopper traffic, it became and evolved into a high-speed pursuit that was then transitioned to a SWAT standoff at the home here in Hialeah. And after, how long was it, you guys, would you say? I'll ask everybody in our comments section. How long did the standoff last? Was it 45 minutes? I can go back in time here and I can kind of see. I think it was actually close. Was it an hour? No, it was about 45 minutes. About 45 to 50 or so minutes, maybe a little bit more, but less than an hour for the entirety of the standoff. But the suspect giving himself up, and exactly what you want to see, especially if you're law enforcement on the ground. You don't want there to be shots fired. You don't want there to be another attempt for the suspect to escape.
And it looks like they are taking him away, News Desk.
Let's go here live, full screen. And now we see SWAT units very carefully go into the home. Reason being is they don't know if there's anyone else inside of the home. It appeared from what we saw from our vantage point that the suspect in this case was at the wheel of that dark SUV solo, that there was no other passengers in the vehicle. But we don't know if the suspect entered the home whether a home that was his, or a home he was familiar with, or one that he was unfamiliar with, whether or not there's anybody else inside the actual building. So now we see officers that are moving backwards. And that could be just out of an abundance of caution, because they were unable to open the front door. The front door might be locked, or there's the chance that they saw motion, they saw activity inside the home, and now have to reassess the situation before they can proceed and determine that the location is safe and secure. Again, JB here with the live folks on WFLA Now. This is, again, a live feed from the chopper in the air. A big shout out to our friends over at WTVJ NBC South Florida and their great chopper crew for providing us with this live feed so that we can get a little bit more insight as to what is happening on the ground in Hialeah, where a high-speed chase came to an end and a suspect, after about a 45-minute standoff, did surrender, exiting the home in Hialeah and putting his arms up in the air, surrendering to the SWAT team that was quite literally on the property, pulling into the driveway and parking right behind the vehicle that they were pursuing about an hour prior. So we're here live, folks, on WFLA Now as they as the feed has now cut to black. It's probably due to signal interference. We'll see if this feed comes back. But you saw there just a bit of an interesting moment as they established that the scene is secure, or attempt to establish that the scene is secure. Excuse me. They moved into position to open the front door to ensure that there was nobody else inside of the home. And then officers moved backwards. And that could be for a variety of different reasons. Perhaps they were unable to gain entryway to the home by just opening up the door. Perhaps they saw motion. And a reminder, if they saw some motion of some kind, if the SWAT team did happen to see, the curtains flutter for even just a slight moment, that could be a lot of different things, including a four-legged friend inside of the home. That could be a dog or a cat, but something led them to, upon getting closer to the home, start to take step backs, retreat, and get back into position behind their armored vehicle. The feed is now in black. That could be for several different reasons, but if the feed stays black, what we will do, of course, is we'll be ending the live stream because we have no other feed to provide you with. However, this is as we wait for that feed to come back, we'll show you this is what unfolded this afternoon. A pretty wild scene in South Florida because it's not every day that you're driving. Imagine being one of the cars driving in the opposite direction, and you see about a dozen or so law enforcement vehicles pursuing this dark-colored SUV. Bit of an interesting sight, not something you see every day. So the dark-colored SUV was on the Florida Turnpike, exited the Florida Turnpike, and then, of course, pulled into that Hialeah neighborhood. People were asking, was there an opportunity to perform perhaps a pit maneuver or use other tactics such as a spike strip? Could something else have been employed to bring this to an end sooner without it having to transition to a SWAT standoff? That's, of course, a question only law enforcement really can answer. And perhaps our friends down in South Florida might ask that question. It might come up. It might not, given what has transpired now with this story. But there you can see there's some of the buffering that took place from the signal. The live feed has not come back. So I believe that if the feed stays out for the next couple of minutes, we're going to end our live stream here momentarily. Again, the suspect is in custody. So this is the driver now exiting the highway. All these cars have no idea what is going on until probably right about here when they see just a lineup of law enforcement vehicles, Miami-Dade law enforcement vehicles, pursuing this one vehicle. And again, as a reminder, we don't know what if the suspect was wanted for anything. All we know was that this vehicle was part of a be on the lookout alert, a BOLO alert that was put out to law enforcement to look out for the vehicle. And the vehicle, look, it might have been a stolen vehicle. There's always a chance. We hear about that so often. Look at this scene, though. This is what appears to be a red light. And interesting that, as we understand it, the suspect is clearly breaking the law, not pulling over on the side of the road, not paying attention to the law enforcement activity behind him. But was that a stop sign or was that a red light? Was he observing some laws of the road? He's not speeding. He's clearly not speeding here. So this is when the chase was a little bit more. It just wasn't. It wasn't really. It didn't appear to be dangerous at any point in time during this section of it after the driver exited the highway. Getting a little bit faster now here. I can't even make out the make of the vehicle. That's another thing too. It's difficult. It appears to be. I don't even want to take a guess because I'm likely wrong. There are some car enthusiasts out there that might be able to see the shape of this vehicle. I'll ask our Facebook Live and YouTube Live audience. Anybody want to take a guess as to what this is? I had a couple of guesses, but I'm going to keep my mouth shut because there are car enthusiasts out there that are way more knowledgeable than I am. But as we watch here, this is the section of the chase that it was right before turning into the residential neighborhood. Here. Okay, so look at this now. So now the suspect pulls through this construction area, or this area that is blocked off, makes a left into the neighborhood. Again, this is Hialeah, Florida. You know, some people are, Shots says appears to be a Range Rover. I think we had another commenter say it appeared to be a Range Rover. Hard to say for sure from this distance. There, look at that. You had one law enforcement vehicle pull onto that, like cut the corner on that property there, just kind of navigating these narrow roadways in this neighborhood. So here's the moment now where the suspect is going to make that left at the stop sign. Or actually, no, maybe not yet. A couple more turns. Yeah, I'm sorry. Here's the right, and then there's going to be two lefts. Oh, I didn't see that. Went past two do not enters. Did not see that the first time. That's why when you play back some of this footage, you can pick up on certain things that you didn't see the first time or second time through. And now you're going to see the left at this intersection. And now you're going to see the sharp left into the driveway. And just look at the casual demeanor of the suspect here. Opens the door, casually walks out, looks down at his phone. No rush, no frantic sprint into the home. Casually walks into the home. And the massive law enforcement contingent pulls up, including the SWAT vehicle with SWAT personnel, the armored vehicle, here right behind what our YouTube live audience appears to think is either a Range Rover. I think it might have been some people are saying that it's a Kia. And then you see some of the tactical units then get into position. But of course, grateful that this ended without incident, ended without there being an escalation of violence of any kind. The entire situation, as far as the standoff goes, was over in under an hour. So I'm not sure exactly what time the chase started, but the standoff we know was done after about an hour. And really, for the armored vehicle to move in that fast was something. The armored vehicle was part of the contingency of law enforcement vehicles here. So they were on alert and ready to respond right when they were needed. And so, yeah, if we look, I'm reading some comments. If we get any details, any comments or details to answer some of your comments about who the suspect is, what they were wanted for, was this a stolen vehicle? Was this worse? Was there anybody else inside of the home? Because that's where we left things off with the live feed. Still a ton of unanswered questions for folks, especially folks in South Florida, folks here in the state of Florida that want answers to those questions. We'll do our very best, of course, to provide you with answers on WFLA.com, the WFLA app. I'll spend just a couple more minutes here on stream answering some questions. It can be about the chase. It can be about, I saw a lot of comments about Alex Murdaugh and the trial that has been unfolding. I'm just going to take 2 to 3 minutes just to answer as many questions as I can before I hop off of stream and join the rest of my news team. We've got some stuff going on in the newsroom today that I'll have to participate in. Use hashtag HeyJB if you would like your comment to be featured on screen. And if you're trying to get my attention. Looking here at Facebook Live. Yeah, Donald, Donald, let's go back to that. Donald Murphy says that there was a cop already in position at the front of the house. I find that to be very interesting too. Because I thought I noticed that as well. Let's go back to that moment. So Donald is saying that they were ready to respond to this home because there was appeared to be maybe I can pause this here too if need be. Oh yeah, look at that. See, again, missed it because I was so focused on the vehicle. Look at that. They were ready. They had the white SUV blocking off this roadway, anticipating that the driver. So what that likely means, what that likely tells us, is that they knew the identity of the driver. They were able to do whether the driver some connection to the car, obviously, because the car was the subject of the Bolo alert that was put out. But they knew ahead of time that this was a likely destination for the driver and had law enforcement personnel ready, blocking off that vehicle. There's also some other vehicles here. There's that white pickup truck, and I'm not sure if that has anything to do with the law enforcement response. But yeah, Donald, thanks a lot. Great observation. That's why I love what I do. People can point out things that I miss. While I try to do my very best to see everything, I can't see everything. No one can. All right, let's go back to Facebook Live. Check in on YouTube Live as well. People again. Megan is saying it's a Kia Telluride. Can tell by those sunroofs. Yeah, might be. I'm seeing people are most commonly saying that is either a Kia. Can we see the? No, you just can't with the distance that the chopper is at. It's like difficult to make out. And I'm sure that some in our comment section are screaming, "It's a Kia or it's a Range Rover. I have this car," but I can't really see the actual symbol on the back of the vehicle that would tell us definitively what it is. Autumn, hashtag HeyJB. How can we, there it is. How can we tell when you're going live? The best way is to subscribe for alerts on the WFLA YouTube page or Facebook page. YouTube by clicking on the bell. The bell will give you the option to subscribe for push alerts on your device of choice for when we go live on YouTube. For Facebook, you go over to the WFLA Facebook page, and there's a drop down there. You can sign up for alerts for every single solitary time that we go live. Not every time we go live is it me, but I am the most common streamer here at this station, so more times than not, it will be me. A few more moments on stream, a couple minutes of answering questions. Crazy Flow Boy, hashtag KJB. He was on the phone with police the whole time. Look, that's hold on, where is it? Come on. Waiting for this comment to load. There it is. He was on the phone with the police the whole time. Entirely possible. Entirely possible that they had contact with the suspect. Oh no. Amanda says my mic is cutting in and out. Is that true? Is my mic cutting in and out, you guys? Checking our stream health here. Can I get a quick thumbs up or thumbs down on you guys if my mic is cutting in or out? This is a great question. Baby Girl Hudson, why was SWAT in the chase? They must have been anticipating that this was going to end at the suspect's home, and they likely activated SWAT and told them to be either part of the chase or nearby the location where they anticipated this coming to an end at this residential neighborhood. But right seconds after the suspect's vehicle pulled into the home, into that driveway, SWAT was there. It was seconds. And that's as speedy of a SWAT response as you'll ever see. I'm getting a lot of thumbs up. Audio loud and clear. Good. Lerpso, I was trying to figure out exactly, let's see if NBC South Florida has updated their report with any details as to when it started. Yeah, we know when the coverage started, which was about an hour and a half ago now. Yeah, we first got access to the feed about 90 minutes ago, so about 1:15 Eastern. We don't know how long it was going on before that point. Not yet, at least. Hypervisual, hashtag AJB, any information on why he was pursued? All we know is that a be on the lookout alert, an advisor was put out for that vehicle, which our YouTube Live audience, Facebook Live audience in disagreement as to whether or not it's a Kia or it's a Range Rover. Regardless, the suspect is in custody. Marley Worldwide wants to know, hashtag KJB, whose birthday is it in the newsroom? We do have an event going on in the newsroom today. It is an event here at WFLA where our staff is getting together, and they've got some stuff going on for the WFLA staff. However, I don't know, is it anyone's birthday? We have a tool that helps us, kind of like, you get Facebook notifications. You get Facebook notifications that tell you, oh, it's this person's birthday today. And thank goodness for those, because no one can remember everyone's birthday. It's so difficult to do so. So we have a system, a dashboard that we sign into here at WFLA that tells us if it's anybody's birthday today. It's no one's birthday today. The next birthday is WFLA's Brittany Muller, one of our great reporters on News Channel 8. It is her birthday in 3 days on the 25th, this Saturday. But no, just a station event going on today. We try to have station events just for all of us to look. The news industry, so oftentimes you guys can, we're talking about a lot of negative storylines, a lot of negative headlines, and every now and again we get together here at the station to lift our spirits up. Butterfly Kisses. Can you show where he threw something over that? I don't have that clip queued, Butterfly, but yeah, he threw something. You know what? I'm going to go back in the YouTube time machine, and maybe we can look at this together. Let's see if we can bring that up even on YouTube Live. Hold on, I'm bringing it up, you guys. And I might be able to bring it up on screen here, too. It's going to be a little low res, but... Hold on, I'm trying to find the exact moment. Right here. Here it is. Okay, I got it. All right, stand by. Stand by, Butterfly. Okay, so let's look at this. This is directly from YouTube. I'm just playing back our YouTube feed. There he is, right there. Okay. Let's just play this out. Okay, so he's right here. Okay, everyone see him have that motion? He's going to throw something. Or no, maybe he already did. No, he already did at this point. Hold on, let's scrub back a little bit more. Tiny bit more. We're showing a comment on a comment. There we go. Okay. Yeah, he threw something onto the roof or beyond the roof. Who knows what it was? There's no way, given the distance between the helicopter and the property, that we're able to see. There's just no way. But unless anyone knows something that I don't. Yeah, I just can't make it out, you guys. One or two more comments, and then Crazy Flow. I'll have to look into that. That's very interesting. There are certain news stations that we are affiliated with, and we go based off of their information. So if there's other news stations reporting some other information, that's very interesting. Something I'll pay attention to. But I appreciate that, Crazy Flow. All right, YouTube Live, that's good. Facebook Live, Judy says, I think it was his cell phone. John says maybe it was the house or the car keys. Yeah, not exactly sure what he threw, but he did throw something. Folks, that's going to wrap it up for our live stream. That live feed from the helicopter did not come back. So we no longer have a live feed from here in the WFLA Now Stream Center, where we're always tapping into various feeds across the country, around the world, to bring you breaking news as it happens right in the palm of your hand. And we do so interactively. What does that mean? That means that we're engaging with you in real time. Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Twitter on certain streams. We'll be bringing your comments, your tweets, exactly what you're saying out there into the conversation so that we can bring you in and talk with you about the news stories that we cover. So I appreciate you joining us here in the WFLA Now Stream Center, the very latest on this story on WFLA.com. Please afford me the opportunity for shameless plug. You can follow me directly. I post a lot of different content on different platforms, and we tailor that content to those platforms and what they're best at. So I'm here on YouTube Live, Facebook, of course, the WFLA JB Facebook page, but you can also find me at WFLA JB on Instagram. I'm now on TikTok and on Twitter as well. For breaking news alerts, Twitter is best, Facebook as well. For more video content, Instagram, TikTok, I'm posting a lot of stuff over there as well. I hope you give me a follow on those respective platforms, really your platform of choice, whatever it may be. More coverage coming here on WFLA Now in the days and weeks ahead. On YouTube Live, you can subscribe to alerts on your phone or your device of choice by clicking on the bell icon on YouTube Live. You can also like this video on YouTube Live if you want to see more of this when you visit YouTube. Also, Facebook. Same thing. You can go over to the WFLA Facebook page, WFLA JB Facebook page, either or, and you can subscribe to push alerts or just click the like button, the follow button as well. Thanks so much for joining us, folks. Our team here at WFLA, they're working on updating the story. As we get in new information about the chase, we'll post it for you on WFLA.com, the WFLA app. Thanks for watching, and as always, see you on stream.